Bro.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Drop Lob Pod. We're on episode number 7 this week, my favorite number, so we'll be sure to make it a good one. I'm joined here by my co-host, Coach Edic, a former Division One tennis player that loves to remind everyone with that big flag behind them. Are you ready to talk some tennis today, Coach Edic?
I'm ready. And if you don't mind, I have something I want to get off my chest right at the
I'll
beginning.
allow it. I'll allow it.
Real quick, I'm enjoying my morning, scrolling through Instagram, and who do I see pop on my feed but none other than Alexander Zverev in the Maldives with Marcelo Mello. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy talks nonstop about how he wants to win a slam, and he's complaining, oh, I'm so close, I can't win a slam. But yet in the off season, he's doing anything but playing tennis. I see him playing padel. I see him ziplining with Marcelo Mello. And I'm just thinking to myself, the number one way to get better at your sport is play more of your sport. If I were him, I'd be in the lab 24/7. And when I wasn't, I would be doing mental work on how I can beat the top players. So it's fine if you want to go to the Maldives, but I don't want to hear from him next year about the complaining. Oh, I need to win a Grand Slam. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that kind of got me riled up. So I'm ready for whatever you have for me today.
Maybe he's just given up, man. Maybe he's just accepted his fate as the third best tennis player in the world and the best player to never win a slam. It's not the worst fate to experience. But either way, today we are doing a special episode for you guys of sorts. We are only doing the dropper lob segment the entire time. I'm going to be asking the questions. As you guys see, Edic's got his strong opinions ready per usual. He's going to be answering my questions. We'll probably go for about 20, 25 minutes. Keep it nice and short for you guys, just to mix some short form ish content in. Not quite. So, with that being said, Ek, you ready to drop your lob?
Let's do it.
All right. So to start off with, so currently, as we've mentioned multiple times, December is kind of known as the off season here for the tennis season. Next week is actually the only week, I believe, where there are no Challenger Tour tournaments and no main tour tournaments. So that's leaving players turning to alternative options to get some ranking points or to make some money. And with a lot of these lower ranked players, they have to kind of grind up through the ITF system, International Tennis Federation, to gain those ranking points to start getting on tour. But some of them are opting for another option currently, where you drop or lob more of these players between ranking, let's say, 500 and 1,000, switching to the UTR Pro Tennis Tour to get a better prize purse, but not put themselves in competition for ranking points in comparison to grinding the ITFs for less money but more ranking points.
It's a very good question. I think that first off, it's important that we have another avenue for those second tier players who are trying to play professionally and earn money. Obviously, like you said, it's very difficult to do on the ITF tour. Ultimately, it comes down to a decision of what do you want out of your career? Do you want money or do you want legacy and trying to climb up as far up in the rankings as possible? For the people that have the opportunity to play and might not care too much about the expenses, they're going to play the ITF tour and they're going to be able to get maybe to 500, 400 in the world versus another guy who might be able to get into that ranking spot, but doesn't have the luxury of having a backing or sponsors that will help him do that. So he's got to play on the UTR tour and scene to get more money. Ultimately, I think
Yeah.
if you're in that range, a good balance, especially during the off season or down months of playing UTRs will help. And
Mhm.
I think it's overall, it's just good to have another avenue. I'm a big proponent of UTR and what they're doing in the space.
So that's a lob,
That's a
correct?
lob for sure. Lob
It's a
for
lob for sure. And I will say as well, it's definitely a good avenue, as we said, for some of these players to maybe earn some money and then bounce back to the ITF tour. The UTR tournaments run pretty regularly in a lot of countries, and it's been pretty good because they get a very like local draw to each area and allows the players to play more without traveling. Um, I recently saw this guy. His name is Joaquin Bianchi. I believe I'm saying that correctly, from Argentina. and he's currently his goal is to reach number 800 in the world. If you saw his UTR, he's currently the world number 3,529 in UTR. He's getting waxed by 12s right now. I can't say I'm too confident in his goal, but he's currently been playing the UTRs to raise money. And he recently posted about that on Instagram saying that he had this goal, but he was looking for sponsors because he couldn't really find any ways to raise money other than that. Unfortunately, when he's not winning them, it's still not doing much for him. But it's, yes, nice for players to have that option. I agree with you. So to follow up on that, for some of these players, they're maybe a little bit higher in the rankings, but not quite at the top. Do you drop or lob taking a full off season as a player between ranking 100 and 500 instead of grinding challengers and ITFs to catch up on those rankings in the meantime?
That's a great question. I'm going to drop it. I think that you should be grinding in the challengers all the time and don't do the off season just because even if you're at these tournaments and let's say they don't mean as much as they do during the year, you can be working on stuff in between your practices. Let's say you have one coach with you. I think that this is the time to make up points. We talked about it with Leighton Hewitt's son, Cruz, where he's going to be making up a lot of
Future GOAT.
yeah, yeah, right. Where he's going to be making up a lot of points during the offseason. So, especially if you're in that 300 to 500 range, absolutely go and play the challengers. A little bit different if you're 100 to 150, where you can get away with having a full offseason, especially if you're already slated to get into high level challengers once the year starts. But otherwise, listen, you're playing tournaments all year round, just like the juniors.
I'm going to agree with you there. I definitely think that as much as it absolutely sucks and as much as your body does need rest and recovery to an extent, it's definitely a great opportunity for those guys to just gain a leg up on those ahead of them. And sometimes you got to do things that you hate. I mean, obviously, it kind of maybe shows that the entire tour system and the way it's structured is inherently flawed, but we don't have control over that. But given what it is right now, they definitely have to keep grinding. I would even say as much as to say that people maybe 100 to 150 have the most incentive to grind. A lot of those guys are players that have previously been ranked inside the top 100. Given the volatility and like tennis rankings, winning one tournament, as we saw with maybe like a Valentin Bastero, like can just absolutely bounce you. I mean, he did win an ATP 1000, which is the largest outside of a major, but it bounced him from like the 200s up to number 40. So these tournaments don't have that ability. Most of them are going to be for about 75 ranking points or 100 ranking points. But that being said, that can still bounce you a good 20, 30 spots and maybe put you in contention to qualify into the majors, get your big break. So for those guys that kind of hang right on the brink or the threshold of the top, I think it's a great opportunity for them to get their foot back in the door. So agreeing with you there. And going to our next topic, we're going to flip over to the WTA. This is something that the one question I know that you have been briefed on ahead of time, and we're going to give it as a drop or lob, but I know that you're looking forward to talking about it. But do you drop or lob that objectively speaking, based on preseason expectations, Donna Vekic had the worst season of any WTA top 100 tennis player?
This question makes me very sad, but I'm definitely going to lob that Vekic had the worst year on the WTA tour, and I'll tell you why. I believe she is one of three players who all happen to be my favorites who are in contention for the worst year. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to give you a couple facts real quick.
I
So,
know you're ready for this. I'm prepared. Fire
Donna Vekic,
away.
Donna Vekic started the year 19 in the world, finishes 71st in the world. Her record
Ouch.
Her record in 2024 was 32 and 20. She made semis of Wimbledon and silver medalist in the Olympics. This year she goes 14 and 23. Her
Ouch.
best result round of 16 in Australian Open.
And
Second
that's the
worst.
first week of the year.
Second worst. Bia Haddad Maia, fellow Brazilian, comes in 16 in the world, finishes 67. She goes
Ouch.
16 and 26 on the year. Last year, she went 36 and 27. Her best result, round of 16 US Open. She did make the semis of Strasbourg. That's big. And then honorable mention, one of my other faves, Yulia Putintseva, starts the year 25, finishes 72, but she goes 25 and 27 on the year, not terrible. The year before she went 39 and 22. The reason why I say Vekic over Haddad Maya is because
The
I
talent.
she had a great year in 2024, making the semis. Lord knows why, after her best year, she fires her coach, hires Sasha, who's a great coach. He used to coach Serena Williams, but then it didn't work out. And in the middle of the year, fires him. And now I'm checking her off season. She's in Monte Carlo practicing her swing volleys. If I see her come out with the swing volleys and the backhand drop shot for 2026, I'm gonna be not very happy. So let's see who can bounce back. If I put my money on it, I'd say Vekic will bounce back better than Haddad Maya because she has more weapons. But both of those ladies just did not have a great year.
I can't say I got a ton of trust in. I mean, I don't know. The WTA is pretty volatile. I would also like to add, arguably the most disappointing, but I believe you left it off just due to the fact that it wasn't really within their control. Ons Jabeur was
Yeah.
absolutely terrible all
Yeah.
year, but she was hampered with injuries. She is now pregnant with her first child. So congrats to her. I've always been a huge fan of her as a person and enjoyed watching her game, but she did take a massive tank in the rankings. Obviously, has been in the top five, has been in multiple major finals. She was barely competitive in anything this year. It took some losses that would be considered very poor by her level. Was missing a lot of what's made her competitive, but obviously a lot going on behind the scenes for her. And maybe she has some focuses bigger than tennis right now. Um, but yeah, that's definitely four players, three of whom obviously you did predict. Um, that just really fell off a cliff, so to speak. But the great thing about tennis is it's 52-week rolling. So if you turn around at any point, you just start gaining back. And the worse you do, the more you have to gain. Sticking on the WTA, drop or lob, Amanda Anisimova, a player that the pod is a big fan of, finishing next year at year end number two in the world's rankings, assumedly jumping Iga Swiatek.
I'm gonna drop this, but with a caveat. She will get to world number two at some point during the year, but she will not finish number two in the world at the end of the year. She has a lot of points to defend post Wimbledon with those two runs at Wimbledon and US Open. Beginning of the year, she played well, but she has a lot of points she can make up. So I think she gets to the top two before Wimbledon, but does not finish top two in the world at the end of the year. She's been very active on social media, so I question her preseason, but we'll see. She scares me a little bit as someone who can be really hot, and then I don't know about her love for the game, if I'm being quite honest. She seems like someone who can be in and then out the next day. So let's see what she does in Australia.
I mean, yeah, she's definitely burst onto the scene. So obviously it'll be interesting. You make a great point there with the ability to gain a lot of ranking points. I think we've explained it before to everybody, but as I just mentioned, tennis runs on a 52-week rolling scale for rankings, which means whatever points you earn at any given tournament, you hold on to those points until the next year when that tournament comes around. All the tournaments are held same year, same time, unless they get canceled or the schedule changes. When that tournament comes back the next year, you are simply attempting to, those points get wiped to zero at the beginning of the week, and you're attempting to earn as many points as you did the previous year or more. If you earn any less, you're going to lose the points. Like if you earn 50 from a tournament, the next year you come back, you earn 25, you're going to lose 25 ranking points despite making 25 ranking points from said tournament. It's all relative to your performance the year before. Probably pretty stressful for the players. I think mentally it would take quite a toll on me. But yeah, it does leave a lot of room for an Anisimova who burst onto the scene in the second half of the year. Also, just a side note, unrelated, that Yannick Sinner is going to blow world number one out of the water, considering he's already right on the cusp, or I believe he just retook it, and he didn't even play for 3 months last season. So that's going to be up there. So now we're going to go to a joint question. It's got WTA and ATP on it. I just saw a statistic that I believe would be unsurprising. I'm going to do a little trivia for you, and then I'll ask you the drop or lob. Did you happen to see who the leaders were for total double faults hit on the men's and women's side this year?
That's a good question. I did see. If you're referring to the same stat, that would
I
be
you must have seen it.
Mr. One, Dennis Shapovalov, and Coco
Yes.
Gauff. Yeah.
Yes. So, yes, I believe we could both agree that that is incredibly unsurprising for those that watch a lot of tennis, that those two are the leaders in the clubhouse in double faults. Shapovalov was in the low to mid 300s, I believe around 330. Coco was pushing up closer to 420 or 430. Obviously, her second serve has been a huge issue. And despite all that, she still won a major this year, which is quite a testament to her game. Drop or lob, those two repeating as the leaders in the clubhouse at the end of 2026 in double faults hit on the ATP and WTA tour, respectively.
So I'll start with Shapovalov and I will drop. I don't think that he'll be the leader for double faults in 2026. I believe somebody else will overtake him. He plays a lot of matches and wins, so that's why he's accumulating more double faults than others. Someone like Monfils has a lot of double faults, but he's not going far in tournaments as much as he was before. I just feel like there'll be another player that struggles, and he's too good of a player not to address that. And for him, it's more like, for me, I think he can make the second serve. It's just more about margin and the type of shot he's going for. And I think he's just going for way too much on that second serve. So I would definitely say that he will be okay come 2026. For Coco Gauff, and I know she hired the biomechanics coach. I'm gonna lob it. She'll be the leader again in 2026. I have not seen from a technical coaching point of view her ability to change her technique yet. She is unable to pronate out to the right and make it a kick serve. She comes across that ball and curls it like a slice, and it'll go to the player's forehand on the due side or body to the forehand. And I think she's better off just hitting that serve because it's more consistent with her for her rather than hitting the kick. But yes, she can win grand slams, but she can also have a myriad of double faults. I'm not a big Coco fan, so I'll say that she'll be the leader again in 2026.
That's fair. I think that Shapovalov takes a lot of big risks and he gets in his head. I think obviously any stat, if you really dive deep into it, like there are caveats or like certain reasons why players lead in those categories. As you said, Shapovalov, like he's got huge firepower on his ground strokes and he's got a huge first serve. So he's got a lot he can do to compensate for that second. With Coco, she's just so athletic. She gets to every ball. Her backhand is huge and she's just kind of physically dominant. So both of them have things to compensate for those double faults and win a lot of rally points. I know that I'd seen Jacob Fernley is a player that hits a lot of double faults and also plays a lot of matches. I'm somewhat surprised he wasn't at the top of this stat, but he's the guy that I might look out for. I miss good old Maxime Cressy and his 20 aces and 15 double faults a match. He probably could have taken this if he hadn't retired mid-season or if he had won a single match at any point during his playing stint this year. Not to take a knock at him, he would beat me 0-0 in about 15 minutes. That being said, I think that both of them could easily repeat as the double fault leaders. I think Shapovalov has confidence, and that's scary. And I don't see him changing his strategy anytime soon, just kind of nuking the serve and going balls to the wall. And as for Coco, like, yeah, it's a mental game for her. And obviously, she wants to be the best. And obviously, she's going to, in my opinion, continue to strive to change and tweak her game to be the best because she knows that those little adjustments could be the difference between 5 and 10 majors. And I think she's willing to take some short term hits in order to get there. I agree with you. You did a very good job breaking down how, for like, I don't really think it would be effective for me to show it over my iPhone camera. I'll note real quickly, I'm on my phone today instead of my computer because Edic thought that my audio was broken, but it turned out it was his computer. So I switched on my phone, and I don't think it would be that easy on said phone for me to show you guys how Coco's serve doesn't quite work. But yeah, she kind of swings across the ball instead of snapping her wrist out like a lot of people do on the kick. And I hadn't even noticed that until Edic just said it, so I appreciate that. Uh, But yeah, that's definitely a struggle for her. I think if we were to break down her double faults, majority would come to the ad court. So those two double fault masters, they should be at it. But that being said, they're still phenomenal players. Coco more so, relatively speaking. And I think that they'll still continue to stay near the top of their games despite all those errors. Now going to a guy that I think might not stay at the top of his game, kind of shockingly from a couple years ago and quite disappointingly. Dropper lob to Neil Medvedev being out of the top 50 by the end of the 2026 season.
Huge drop, huge drop. In fact, I'd say he's going to be back inside the top 10. After the US Open, John McEnroe said, "Oh, I'd like to see him take time off. I don't want him to play anymore." That's exactly what you don't do. He hasn't had confidence this year. He needs to build the confidence. He did that in the Asia swing. He got a win over and his nemesis, this past year, and he's riding his momentum. I'm sure he'll put in a good camp at the beginning of this year to be ready for Australia. And I think he's poised to get back into the top 10. And I'd say he's poised for a run at a Grand Slam title. Honestly, I'm riding high on Medvedev, fellow Technofiber user of the racket. And I think he has confidence now. And he's way closer to top 10 than going to the top, dropping out of the top 50.
Yeah, I think I might have gotten a little bit ambitious with that one. I have a feeling we're both going to be pretty wrong and it'll kind of settle somewhere near the middle. I think that the balls have gotten slower, the courts have gotten slower. I always thought that that was Medvedev's thing, but I forgot that he's not Klavidev for a reason. He doesn't like the slowness. He doesn't seem like he's enjoyed the way that tennis has shifted the game, and that's nothing towards him. Like I think he's obviously a top five talent when he's putting it all together, but his serve's been atrocious. He's been arguably too passive at a lot of key points. He hasn't had the confidence. The game is kind of playing more towards big hitters. And I know that he's got a kid. I believe he might have also recently had a second or had another on the way. And he was pretty focused on the family life. I just don't know how much the motivation will be there for him as a guy that's been up 2-0 in sets at multiple majors, knows that he's had those chances. I mean, he has won a major, but like has really had the chances to cement himself right there at the top. The motivation to get back for him is what I'm questioning. But let's see, only time will tell on that one. I think that we probably both got a little ambitious in our ways. Um, with that
Wait a
being
second.
said,
Medvedev has way more of a chance to win a Grand Slam than
then
Zverev.
Zverev, agreed. Agreed. And that's tough because I do think Zverev is a better tennis player than Medvedev.
He
But
might be.
I don't think that's what it comes down to. Uh-oh, drop the phone. So drop or lob, I'm going to adjust this question a little bit because I know he had recently mentioned wanting to play for a couple more years. Drop or lob, Novak Djokovic only plays the four Grand Slams this upcoming season.
Drop. He'll play a couple tournaments here and there. He has obligations maybe in the Middle East or in other areas. He'll play one of the Sunshine doubles. I think that a better question would be drop or lob, does Novak play more or less than 10 tournaments? He might
I
play
believe he
less.
went less this year already.
Yeah, he
Did he
might
not?
be less than 10, but ultimately, I do think you need match play. As good as he is, you need a couple matches. He'll play Rome, maybe another one in Europe before the French Open. So I think I think he'll definitely play more than the four Grand Slams.
Do you think we could see a fall off from him finally, or is he just too robotic?
At this point, too robotic.
It's fair. I think we're seeing that with a lot of our favorite athletes these days with the technology that they have behind them. Um, it's actually all I had for you in the dropper lob segment. I can toss another one at you, but honestly, we've taken up more time than I expected, which is great. It's flown by. Um, you good to wrap it up here?
I'm
We've done
good
a
to wrap
pretty
it up.
done a pretty extensive dropper lob. We've gotten a lot of opinions out of you. I've
Yeah,
yapped a
no,
lot
this is
more
great.
than I expected, but that's to be expected by everyone else. Um, but yeah, I think I really enjoyed the rapid fire format. I guess my last thing will be drop or lob running this type of episode again.
Definitely lob. I just hope that Zverev gets back on court sometime soon.
If we ever make it big someday, Zverev's going to hate your ass, and I'm here for it. That being said, thanks everyone who tuned in to episode 7, especially mom and dad, who I make watch every week. Um, I've enjoyed filming, and hopefully you guys enjoy listening. Uh, Nathan and Coach Edic providing all of his input, did some great analysis today, provided some great input. Any lost words not directed at Alexander Zverev, Edic?
No, that's it. Enjoy. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Thanks, Nathan.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a great week. See you next week, bro.